Starting off with Hades, this roguelike masterpiece from Supergiant Games puts you in the role of Zagreus, the son of Hades, attempting to escape the underworld. The game features incredibly fluid combat with a variety of weapons and boons from Olympian gods that create unique build combinations each run. What sets Hades apart is its narrative depth, as every death progresses the story and relationships with beautifully voiced characters. The art style is stunning, with hand-painted environments, and the soundtrack perfectly complements the intense action. With hundreds of hours of replayability and meaningful progression systems, Hades remains one of the finest roguelikes ever made. Moving to Dead Cells, this action platformer roguelike delivers fast-paced combat and exploration across a sprawling, interconnected world. You play as a sentient blob of cells inhabiting a corpse, fighting through procedurally generated levels filled with deadly enemies and challenging bosses. The combat system is incredibly satisfying, with dozens of weapons and abilities that can be mixed for various playstyles. Dead Cells features permanent upgrades that unlock new paths and items while maintaining the difficulty that makes each run feel meaningful. The pixel art animation is fluid and gorgeous, making every movement and attack feel impactful and responsive. Next up is Returnal, a third-person shooter roguelike exclusive to PlayStation 5 that showcases the console's capabilities. You control Celine, an astronaut trapped in a time loop on a hostile alien planet where every death resets her journey. The game combines bullet hell mechanics with intense combat and exploration in beautifully realized alien environments. Returnal uses the DualSense controller brilliantly with adaptive triggers and haptic feedback that enhance immersion. The story unfolds mysteriously through environmental storytelling and psychological horror elements, creating a unique, atmospheric experience that stands out in the roguelike genre. Risk of Rain 2 transforms the original indie hit into a thrilling third-person 3D roguelike with up to 4-player co-op. Each run sends you through randomly generated stages where you collect items that stack multiplicatively, creating absurdly powerful builds. The game features diverse characters with unique abilities and playstyles, from basic gunners to mystical mages and robotic engineers. As time passes during each run, difficulty increases exponentially, forcing players to balance exploration with survival. The cooperative gameplay creates chaotic fun as items synergize and enemies swarm in overwhelming numbers, making every successful run feel like an earned victory. Spelunky 2 continues the legacy of its predecessor with even more depth and secrets hidden within its procedurally generated caves. This challenging platformer roguelike demands precision and careful planning, as one mistake can end your run instantly. The game introduces new areas, enemies, items, and mechanics, while maintaining the tight controls and fair difficulty that made the original beloved. Spelunky 2 features multiple paths through its world with hidden shortcuts and secret endings that reward dedicated players. The online co-op and versus modes add replayability, though the game truly shines in its single-player experience where every decision matters. Cult of the Lamb blends roguelike dungeon crawling with base building and cult management in a charming dark fantasy setting. You play as a possessed lamb who must build a following while venturing into heretic lands to fight enemies and collect resources. The combat uses a simple but satisfying system with various weapons and curses that keep runs fresh. Between expeditions, you manage your cult by constructing buildings, performing rituals, and keeping followers loyal through sermons and sacrifices. The adorable art style contrasts wonderfully with the dark themes, creating a unique aesthetic that makes Cult of the Lamb memorable and engaging throughout. Enter the Gungeon delivers frantic bullet hell action in a gun-themed dungeon crawler with exceptional weapon variety. You choose from several characters called Gungeoneers who descend into the Gungeon seeking a gun that can kill the past. The game features hundreds of creative weapons and items ranging from standard firearms to absurd guns that shoot bees or freeze enemies. Each floor presents increasingly difficult enemies and bosses with complex bullet patterns that require skill and pattern recognition. The pixel art is beautifully animated, and the countless pop culture references hidden in weapon designs add humor to the intense challenge. Inscryption stands out as a genre-bending roguelike that combines deck-building card battles with escape room puzzles and psychological horror. The game starts as a seemingly simple card game, but evolves into something far more complex and mysterious. Each card represents a creature with unique abilities that can be sacrificed and combined to create powerful strategies. Inscryption constantly subverts expectations with meta elements and genre shifts that keep players guessing. The atmosphere is unsettling, with a mysterious opponent who watches your every move, making this one of the most innovative and memorable roguelikes available on PlayStation 5. Vampire Survivors brings addictive arcade action to the roguelike formula with its reverse bullet hell gameplay. You automatically attack while maneuvering through endless hordes of monsters, collecting gems and leveling up to choose from powerful upgrades. The game starts simple but becomes increasingly chaotic as your character gains multiple weapons and passive abilities that fill the screen with projectiles. Runs last 30 minutes with clear objectives and unlockables that encourage experimentation with different character and weapon combinations. Despite its minimalist presentation, Vampire Survivors delivers incredibly satisfying power fantasy moments and exceptional value with hundreds of hours of content. Slay the Spire popularized the deck-building roguelike genre with its perfect balance of strategy and randomness. You climb a spire, choosing paths and building a deck from hundreds of cards across 3 unique character classes. Combat is turn-based, where positioning, energy management, and card synergies determine success against challenging enemies and bosses. Each run offers different card rewards and relics that dramatically alter strategies and enable creative combinations. The game features multiple difficulty levels through ascending challenges that modify rules and increase complexity, ensuring endless replayability for players who master the base mechanics and want greater challenges. Rogue Legacy 2 improves upon its predecessor with refined gameplay and expanded content in this genealogical roguelike platformer. Each death passes the adventure to an heir with unique traits and classes that significantly change how you approach the randomly generated castle. The game features smooth combat with various weapons and spells, complemented by challenging platforming sections and boss fights. Permanent upgrades purchased with collected gold make subsequent runs easier while maintaining satisfying difficulty progression. The trait system adds humor and mechanical variety, with conditions ranging from helpful buffs to quirky handicaps that force adaptation and creative problem-solving. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth remains a cornerstone of the roguelike genre with its disturbing biblical themes and endless item combinations. You play as Isaac, escaping into a basement filled with grotesque enemies and bosses across multiple floors. The game features over 500 items that synergize in countless ways, creating runs that feel completely different from one another. Each character offers unique starting items and stats that favor different playstyles and strategies. With numerous endings, challenges, and secrets to unlock, The Binding of Isaac provides hundreds of hours of dark, twisted, and endlessly replayable content. Balatro takes a completely different approach by turning poker into an addictive roguelike deck builder that hooks players immediately. You play poker hands to score points while purchasing joker cards that modify scoring rules in wild and unexpected ways. Each run presents different challenges and blind requirements that force strategic thinking about which cards to keep and discard. The game features satisfying progression as you unlock new decks and jokers that enable increasingly powerful combinations. Despite using familiar poker mechanics, Balatro creates entirely new strategic depth that makes it accessible yet deeply engaging for both casual and hardcore roguelike fans. Dicey Dungeons brings charming presentation and clever design to the dice-rolling roguelike genre with its board game aesthetic. You play as a contestant transformed into a dice, competing in Lady Luck's game show by battling through dungeons. Combat uses dice rolls to activate equipment with different requirements, creating puzzle-like decisions each turn about optimal dice placement. The game features 6 playable characters with unique mechanics and multiple episodes that remix rules and introduce new challenges. The colorful art style and upbeat music create a lighthearted atmosphere that contrasts with the challenging strategic gameplay underneath. Wrapping up with Wizard of Legend, this fast-paced dungeon crawler focuses on mastering magical combat through dozens of spell combinations. You create custom loadouts from over 100 spells across different elements that can be chained together for devastating combos. The game emphasizes skill and reflexes, with challenging boss fights that require learning patterns and executing precise movements. Cooperative multiplayer allows 2 wizards to tackle the Chaos Dungeon together, creating synergies between different elemental builds. While runs are shorter than many roguelikes, Wizard of Legend delivers intense action and satisfying progression through unlocking new spells and relics.